ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Tens of thousands of followers, sympathizers, admirers of the Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the seventh Rebbe of Lubavitch, came to visit his graveside. It was 20 years ago that he left this world, and his physical remains are in that cemetery. What is a Rebbe? A Rebbe is a rabbi, student of Jewish tradition. But for his followers, there's something more. There's something divine about his personality. They don't confuse him with God, heaven forbid. But he is above other human beings. In the case of Lubavitch, I myself went to visit him on a couple of occasions. He extended his hand to me, he asked me to sit, and we had a very interesting conversation. But one of his followers will never sit in the presence of the Rebbe. He won't give him his hand either, because he believes the Rebbe is holy, and you cannot touch something that is holy. The relationship is altogether different. Lubavitch is one of the Hasidic movements. It is the best known throughout the world, I think, today. But in Israel, for instance, there is the Rebbe of Gur, the Rebbe of Belz. I think that they have many more followers in Israel, yet the world knows much more about Lubavitch. Why is Lubavitch so special? It seems that the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, who came to the United States, already had the dream of sending emissaries to all the Jewish communities throughout the world. Because the Rebbe didn't consider himself a leader of a sect, of a group. He considered himself a leader of the Jewish people. He considered himself responsible for the entire Jewish people. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe of Lubavitch had an interest on non-Jews as well. He thought that he had a mission of teaching the 7 basic laws of humanity, called the Noahide laws, to the entire world, that people should live by that, not to blaspheme God, against idolatry, against murder, against illicit sexual relations. These basic principles, the Rebbe thought, should be taught to the entire world. But his mission was basically for the Jewish people. Basing himself on a pasuk, on a verse in the Torah, it says, God tells Jacob, Ufaratzta yama v'kedma, you're going to spread out, north and south, east and west. You're going to spread out. The previous Rebbe already thought about it and started doing something about it, but the Rebbe that just passed away, the 7th Rebbe, he is the one that really brought it to a climax. There is actually no place in the world that you can think of without finding a presence of Lubavitch. How is that done? The Rebbe asks one of his followers, and by now the followers would ask him, go to such and such a place and start teaching Judaism. Establish a base for Judaism. For how long? This is for your lifetime. You go there and you will stay there and you will spread Judaism. You will teach Judaism over there. In the very beginning, it wasn't so easy. There were many parents of these young people that were being sent out who asked the Rebbe, why are you sending my son to such a far-off place? What is he going to do with his own children? How is he going to educate them? There won't be any Jewish schools for them. In some places, Lubavitch was able to build schools, but in many a place, there is no such possibility. Yet they went to different places. What was in the beginning a difficult project came toward the end in the most popular project. And 20 years after the passing of the Rebbe, it is still a very strong mission, as strong as during his lifetime. And maybe that is one of the underlying strengths of the Rebbe, that even when he is no longer here physically, his presence is felt among his Hasidim. His teachings are still very factual today. I spoke to one of the emissaries of the Rebbe. What do you do with your children? Well, like others that I know of, they learn by internet. You have a 7-year-old child, he sits in front of a screen all day, and he is being taught through the internet. And he can interact with the teacher, he can interact with other students. Do they develop right? Well, they learn very well. But yet, on the other hand, they lack physical contact with other young people, with children. So they tell them, you must make sure that during the summertime, during school break, that they go to summer camp where they will be able to interact with other human beings. So that when a Rebbe sends somebody as a shaliach, as his emissary, to a far-off place, it isn't that easy. There are many sacrifices that they have to make. There are 2 very interesting books that have been published these days to commemorate the 20th anniversary since the Rebbe left this world. One of them is by Rabbi Joseph Telushkin. Very well written biography, and I recommend it highly. Take a look at it. It is very worthwhile reading. And another one is by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, who has done marvels for the Talmud in Israel, has done a magnificent job with bringing the Talmud into language that everybody can understand. But he wrote more of a theological treatise about the Rebbe. I think both books are very important, and I recommend that you take a look at them in order to appreciate a little more if you didn't have the opportunity of knowing the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe that passed away 20 years ago.